Hello friends, welcome to your mat. I'm definitely going to miss you this week, but I'm so grateful that we have this technology so we can be together at your leisure whenever you feel ready to practice. So we've been going through the yamas and the niyamas over the last few weeks, and today I wanted to talk about tapas. And tapas is a niyama that's associated with self-discipline. And tapas is generally interpreted to mean fire or a burning away of the things that no longer serve us. And I love in this book, The Yamas and the Niyamas, this is the one I've been referencing throughout our classes, is she talks about this idea of when we burn the fields to regenerate the earth for nurturing and to create new growth. We need to burn away all the debris, all the weeds, all the things that are no longer healthy for the soil. And then the ash from the fire is what provides some of the nitrogen, the nutrients that gets tilled into the soil and allows for new growth. So what started off as this burnt, bland, barren space after a burn is, when you go back in a couple of weeks, you see new shoots, new growth coming up. So similarly with our own lives, when we employ or deploy self-discipline, we begin to choose to burn non-supportive habits, or as she says, non-supportive habits of the body and mind, choosing to forsake momentary pleasures for future rewards. So it's being in the moment, kind of discerning what we believe is going to allow us to feel our best, to look our best, to be our best self, and letting go of those habits that do not support that vision. And the way that we can do that on our mat is by connecting with our solar plexus, this area that is just below the sternum, between the belly button and the sternum. And it is our third chakra area. This is our fire. This is our sense of willpower and discipline and our motivation, our center here. It's said when we do yogi sit-ups that we are stoking our internal fire by feeling that little burn of the muscles when we're working this area. So we're activating the idea of tapas. We're activating our self-discipline, and looking at self-discipline and ritual as not something that is limiting, but something that is limitless. It begins to create more space for us to grow and evolve rather than to feel stuck where we are. We can burn away these habits. And so I just invite you on your mat, if you're called to do so, to tap into this idea of tapas and the burning away of our unsupportive habits, so we can allow those habits that create life and freedom and love and the ability to stay in the storm with a calm mind and calm breath. And so we can really face not only the things that are good in our life, but the things that challenge us by staying with that sense of change. And there's a quote that I keep on my phone. It's on my wallpaper. And it's a quote by Sadhguru that says, when we resist change, we resist life. And so by releasing the need to resist, stoking our fire of motivation, of willpower, of discipline, then we begin to really tap into the energy of life and of evolution and connection to ourselves and others. So sitting up nice and tall, let's begin to connect to our yoga practice this morning. You might close down your eyes or just a gentle gaze down the tip of your nose. And really bringing into this idea of self-discipline. Allowing your sits bones to feel a bit more grounded. Maybe a little rock from side to side as we feel the gravity pressing down on us. We can allow ourselves to maybe gently press up into gravity and then settle back into that sensation of groundedness. Beginning to connect to your breath in a way that feels supportive, whether that's a deeper inhalation or a longer exhalation. Maybe adding an Ujjayi breath. This is a great way to bring in tapas to our yoga practice. The sound of your own breath, that little bit of constriction in the back of the throat, or even a gentle pressure on the nasopharynx at the top of the mouth, begins to elicit a whisper-like quality, bringing a focus of the mind to the breath. And also, when we breathe in this way, it warms the breath a bit more. So we're stoking our internal fire by warming the breath. Excuse me. Staying connected to your breath. We'll add some gentle movement, hands by your hips, palms facing forward. As you inhale, reach your fingertips to the sky, press down through the sits bones. Exhale, twist towards your right. Right fingertips tenting up behind you, lengthening your spine, press your left hip down. Inhale back to center, reaching up. And exhale to the left. Again, that left finger, those left fingertips behind you, maybe holding on to your left thigh to help lift and lengthen, to twist a little bit more. Inhale back to center, reaching up. Exhale, fold it forward, walking your fingertips forward, press your hip bones back. Allow your forehead to release. Slowly walk yourself back into a seat. And continue on, taking 2 or 3 more of these breaths. Twisting towards the right. And inhaling. Exhale, twist to the left. Nice forward fold here, walking the hands forward. And inhale, sitting back up nice and tall. Let's take 2 more. Moving with your breath. Settling into your intention, whether it is this idea of tapas and self-discipline, or maybe you already have an intention that you're working with. We're still riding on the energy of the full moon, which always asks us to look back at the intentions that we laid out during the new moon and just see where we were progressing. And once you feel complete, just rest your hands onto your thighs. Gazing forward. Settling a bit more deeply into the sits bones. Good. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Roll forward onto all fours. Move into a tabletop position. Aligning your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Spread your fingers nice and wide onto the mat. Push down through the finger pads. Really find your ground, your foundation in every pose, whether you're on your feet or on your hands. From here, some cats and cows. Inhale, gazing forward. Belly dips, heart lifts. And exhale, pull the belly up and in, chin to chest. And continue to rock forward and back, coming in and out of cats and cows. Maybe inviting in some organic movement, just allowing the rib cage to move, the tail to wag, moving with your breath. And coming back to your neutral tabletop position, let's place the hands slightly in front of the shoulders. Preparing for downward facing dog, tucking your toes, belly in, hip bones high, lengthening through the arm bones first. Keep a nice bend to the knees. Press down through your finger pads. Feel the shoulders wrap as the elbows begin to point forward. And then begin to walk out your heels, paddling out your feet, lengthening one leg and the other. Your heels may or may not touch. It's always a nice goal to have, but just keep in mind it's not required to do a good yoga practice for the heels to touch. A good yoga practice is whatever feels the best in your body, whether that is deepening the breath, connecting more with the alignment and foundation in your poses, or maybe it's just allowing yourself to release a pose when it no longer serves. Maybe it's causing pain or discomfort. Just allowing yourself to use your discernment to create a practice that is supportive, that is evolutionary, that creates ritual and self-discipline. Inhale, gaze forward, and exhale, step to meet your hands. Uttanasana, forward fold. You might place a block the medium way between your shins or the narrow way between your thighs, allowing the thigh bones to align with your hips here. Maybe bending the knees as we come into a forward fold. You could grab opposite elbows for a little ragdoll. If you just want to move right into getting some hamstring stretch, you can bend one knee, straighten the opposite leg, and switch sides. And coming into your forward fold, Uttanasana, begin to straighten your legs, finding the stretch in the belly of the hamstrings. If you're feeling a pulling at the knees or at the hips, just adjust your weight into the feet. Pull your belly button to your spine and press your tailbone back. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Hands pressing into your shins or your thighs. Spine is long, shoulders glide back. Exhale and fold. 2 more with your breath. Finding that space as you inhale. Moving into that space as you exhale. Again, bending the elbow or bending the knees, grabbing the elbows. Maybe a little rock from side to side, just draping, getting a low back release now. Press down through all 4 corners of your feet, but shift your weight more towards the heels. Begin to press down as you inhale, reach up, lengthen up. Fingertips to the sky. And bend your knees, release your hands to the base of your skull. Widen through the elbows, belly button to spine. Inhale. And exhale to your right. Pressing your head back into your hands. Open up through the collarbones. Feel the armpits hollow out. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Press down through the left foot and lengthen. Still pulling belly button to spine here. Feel this beautiful stretch through the left side. Inhale back to center, and exhale to the left. Press down through the right foot, lengthening up. Pull belly button to spine. Low ribs draw in. Feel that right armpit hollow as the shoulders relax away from the ears. Elbows widening. Head pressing back. Inhale back to center. Elbows into cactus. Heart lifts, gaze lifts. Lengthen out of the low back and keep a bend to the knees. This helps us keep the pelvis neutral rather than pushing the pelvis forward and arcing deeply into the low back. I'm going to feel this in the upper spine. Inhale, release, reach it up. Exhale, Utkatasana chair pose. Shift your hips back, arms parallel. Gently draw your arm bones away from your ears and into the shoulder sockets. As you squeeze into your block, if you don't have a block, just press down into the big toes and then press into the pinky toes. And press into the heels. Feel those arches activating. Even if we have flat arches, you can feel a little bit of muscular activation here. Gazing forward, find that drishti, that focal point. If your shoulders are tight or you're working with injuries, please just feel free to place your hands to your heart. Maybe sit a little bit lower, press the hip bones back. Inhale, release, coming up onto the balls of your feet, heels lifting high, and elbows into cactus. Squeezing in or pushing down through the toes. Try not to grip with the toes, you're just pressing into the big toe mound, pinky toes. Maybe bend your knees like you're sliding down a wall. Relax your shoulders, find the tension melting away, and we're just balancing. Belly button to spine. Allow a little smile to come in when the wobbles bring their way into your practice. Good. Inhale, release, reaching up. Exhale, heels to the mat, hands to your heart center. Move the block off to the side here. Let's take a nice wide step, facing the long edge of the mat. You can turn your toes out and just begin to rock side to side. Dipping one shoulder to the opposite thigh. Switching sides. Maybe coming low, a little Skardasana, getting a stretch to the inner thigh. You don't have to go very low. You could stay up high and just push your butt back. And you still get that same stretch without having to go all the way down towards the floor. Always options to modify for our body in the moment. And then coming back to center, toes are out, heels are in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hands to heart, lower down, widening through the inner thighs. Use those outer hips and the inner thigh muscles to widen. So a lot of times the knees like to collapse inward. Pull the belly button in. Relax your shoulders, hands to heart, or maybe we do some eagle arms this morning. Stay nice and solid in your feet, pressing down. Outer hips are super active. Notice if you're trying to round the low back or tuck the tail, or maybe you're arcing your low back. See if you can find that neutrality of your spine. So if you're doing eagle, let's switch it out. Sit a little lower. Press down through the heels and lengthen up. Release. Pivot to the top of your mat and step your back foot to meet the front. Maybe a little wobble in there for no reason at all. Now you could use your block here between your shins, that medium way once again. That's kind of a nice tool to see where we are in space with the knees. Inhale, hands to heart for a prayer twist. Exhale, shift your hips back, right elbow towards your left thigh. Now before we go fully into the twist, gaze down, take a gander at your right knee. If it popped forward or the block moved, just draw the right hip back. Belly button drawing up and in, lengthen. Palms pressed together, rotate the left shoulder open. Make sure the knees stay aligned, hips are aligned, and our head is a little bit higher than our hips. So we might need to sit down just a little lower here. When our head stays above the hips and the heart, we avoid any kind of lightheadedness when we come out of these shapes. Really feeling this in the shoulders. Nice twist into the spine. Maybe open arms here. Exhale, hands back to heart center. Deep breath in. And exhale, unwind. Staying low. Enjoying that sensation in the quadriceps. And deep breath in. Exhale, left elbow towards the right thigh. Again, gaze down. Watch that left knee. Pull the left hip back. Palms pressed together. Rotate the right shoulder. Opening up the heart. Lowering down a little lower. Feeling the spine long here. Opening through the rib cage. Continue to press the palms together. Maybe open arms. Exhale, hands to heart. Press the palms together. One more rotation of that shoulder open. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, press down and release. Whoo! Hands to heart center. Nice little wake-up call for those quadriceps. Place your block off to the side. Next, we're going to use this again as we move into our balancing series. We're going to start with our eagle pose. Placing the block off to your left. We're going to start on the right. All right, inhaling the arms up. Bending our knees, right leg lifts, cross your left thigh. Bend down, right elbow underneath the left. Gently draw the right hip back so we stay nice and aligned, hip bones pointing forward, bending into your standing knee a bit more than you think you'd like to. Nice, tall, proud eagle poses. Again, take the arms however it feels in your body that it works the best. Squeeze the thighs together, squeeze the arm bones together. Connect to your breath here. We're going to do the full balancing sequence, starting here. And shifting back if you want to take your crouching eagle. Elbows move towards your knees. Spine is long. Forearms move away from your face. If you'd like to take flight, begin to unravel. Press the belly button to spine to support the low back. Push your right heel back nice and firm. Lengthening. Crown of your head reaching forward as your heel reaches back. That right leg is just as firmed up and engaged as the standing leg. You might even press down a little bit more into the left foot. Activate the right quadricep. Stay with your breath. Gently draw your right leg back in. Rewrap. Stay low for a breath. Belly button to spine. And then we'll inhale, meet our friends back in our base shape. And exhale, release. But we're not done yet. Lift that right knee, aligning with your right hip, moving right into Dandayamana, Janu Shirshasana, our standing head to knee pose. Hands either underneath your thigh or maybe around your right shin. Pressing firmly into your left foot, belly button draws up and in. Get nice and tall here, and then relax your shoulders away from your ears. Flex your right foot. Right thigh bone is drawing back towards your right hip socket. You can place a little bit of pressure on the shin or underneath the thigh. Great place for a strap here as well. You might kick your heel forward, getting a little quadricep strengthening. Continuing to pull the right thigh bone back. Relax the shoulders. Moving on, Padangusthasana, bend the right knee. Right fingertips outside of your right knee. Left arm in cactus or on your left hip. Inhale, lengthening up. Pull the left hip in. Exhale, right knee opens out to the side. Lengthen out through the inner right thigh. Feel the right thigh open up. And then pull the left hip back. Continue to press firmly into your left foot. Imagine somebody is pulling the crown of your head, reaching up, getting taller in every balancing pose. Exhale, right knee comes back to center, aligning with your thigh or hip. Take your twist. Right hand to the right hip, left hand to your outer right thigh. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, twist. You might reach your right arm back. Bring your heart forward though. We want to stay nice and tall here. Flexing the right foot. Belly button draws in. Notice if that right hip is lifting. Just gently drop the right glute, that right cheek down. Left leg is really warming up. Slowly unwind, come back to center. Our final balance here, Dandayamana Dhanurasana, standing bow. Slide your right hand down your right thigh, over the shin as you come forward. Hinge, hold, reach down for that right ankle. Bringing your right heel in. Inhale, back to standing. Right heel is towards your right hip. Belly button draws up and in. Right knee is aligning with your left. Inhale, reach your left arm up to the sky or keep it onto your hip. Exhale, begin to kick your right heel away and hinge forward. Little bend to that left knee, never hurt anybody. Keep that right hip dialing down. As you kick your heel to your pose here, remember it could just stay more upright. Don't need to kick if it doesn't feel good. Listen to what you need. This should feel nice and wide in the front body and even opening in that back bend in the back because we're creating space in the front. Inhale, come back to center and release it out. Oh my. That was a tapas. That was a nice burning sensation in the left hip. I even had a little bit in my outer left arch. I don't know if you felt that in your feet, but I certainly did. Option here, you can lie down on the mat, do reclining pigeon. I'll just briefly show that. So left ankle, because we want to do the right hip. So right ankle onto left ankle, left ankle onto the right thigh. Some things never change, even in a recording. Lie back and bring that right knee in. You might even press the left knee away. So we'll come into that, or take your standing variation, shifting into the right foot. Bend your knees, left ankle to the right thigh. Flex your left foot. Inhale. And exhale. Shift your hips back. The more you can feel this flex at the hip joint and a shifting of the weight back, like you're reaching for a chair, this length, the more you're going to feel this beautiful stretch in the left hip. Feels so good. Maybe press down on the left knee just a little bit. And hands can move to the heart. Whoop. Playing with our balance, press down into that right foot. Feel the ground beneath you. Shoulders relaxing back. Spine is long here. Oh, I feel like I could stay here all day. But we need to come out and release. Take your time if you're on the floor. Make your way back to a standing position. And for an IT band stretch, the top of your right foot will rest on the top of your left foot, or right heel on the top of your left foot. And begin to kick your left hip out to the side. A little bend to the right knee, a little bend to the left knee so we can direct the stretch into the IT band instead of the hip flexor. Come back to your breath. And release. I'll shake that out. And we need to create balance, right? So we're going to do that on the other side. So placing the block off to the right. I'm going to stay this way. Placing it onto the right. Inhale your arms up. And exhale, left leg lifts. Cross your right thigh, left elbow underneath your right. Hip bones pointing forward. Sink a little deeper, bend your standing knee, squeeze your thigh bones, draw your shoulders back and squeeze the arm bones together. So this is a really good detoxifying pose. Stay with your breath, belly button to spine. And if you don't have a block, just squeeze the thighs together. If you do the double tuck, just watch those hips. They tend to pop forward on the left side. Crouching eagle, we shift our weight back and hinge. Lengthening, forearms away from the face, belly button to spine. Taking your flight if you'd like, unravel the left leg. Push that left heel firmly back. Left hip aligns with the right. Pressing back. Crown of your head reaching forward. Really active in that left leg and the right, lengthening out through the sole of your right foot. Pushing that left foot back. Staying with the breath. Feeling the sweat beginning to come up. Draw the left leg back in, re-wrap. And drawing left hip back. Inhale back to meet our friends at our base pose, and slowly unwind as we move into Dandayamana Janya Shirshasana. Left knee lifting up, pushing down into the right leg. Interlace your hands around your shin or underneath your thigh. Draw your shoulders back. That brings the left thigh bone back to meet the hip socket. And relax your shoulders. Lengthening out through the right leg. Belly button is drawing up and in. Just feeling tall here. And you might get a little quad strengthening by kicking your heel forward. Activate the quad, press down into the right foot. Nice and tall. Bend your left knee. Padangusthasana. Left fingertips outside of your knee. Right arm is in cactus, aligning with your shoulder. Inhale. And exhale, open it out to the side. Draw the right hip back as you widen through the inner left thigh. You can always keep your right hand to your right hip. Relax your shoulders. Pull the right hip in. Squeezing that right glute, right hip. Left knee back to center, aligning with your hip. Right hand to the outer left thigh. Let's find our twist. Inhale, heart forward. Exhale, twist. Draw the left shoulder back. Maybe reach your left arm back. Continue to pull the body forward rather than leaning backwards. Notice if that left hip is lifting. Good. Slowly unwind. Come back to center. Final balance here. Dandayamana Dhanurasana. Reaching back for your left ankle or sliding and flexing to reach for the ankle. Taking your time. Aligning your knees first. Press through the right foot. Inhale, lengthen. Right arm lifts. And exhale, kick. Lowering your right arm down, draw the arm bone back. Lengthen through the front of your body. And kick. And slowly release. Oh my. Whew. I don't know about you, but I got some tapas in that hip too. Go ahead and lie down onto the mat if you're taking your reclining pigeon pose. Otherwise, we'll do figure four, shifting into the left foot. Bending the left knee, right ankle to your left thigh, flex your toes. Inhale. Exhale, shift your weight back and hinge forward. Ooh, I like to adjust my foot a little bit. Pressing down into the knee. And then hands to heart. Belly button to spine. Relax your shoulders. Little subtle changes throughout a pose. We don't have to stay stagnant. Find more engagement, find more space, find more ease amidst the challenge. Whether it's with the breath, with the body, with the mind. Part of our practice is finding that yug, that union of our hearts to the universal energy, but also of our bodies and minds back into this physical form. Oh, and slowly release it out, shake it out. As you come up off of the floor, you might choose to find that outer hip, that IT band stretch, left heel resting on the top of the right foot. I'm just facing the long edge of my mat. Bending into the left knee, kicking the right hip out to the side. Bending that right knee just a little bit to help direct the stretch into the IT, the TFL, the muscle that's right up here that's attached to the IT band. That's where we really want to stretch also. And release. Let's shake that out. Good. I'm going to grab a sip of water. Feel free to do so. And we'll do a little breath of joy before we move on to our triangle and extended side angle. Okay, breath of joy. Some of you might remember this. I'll just do a quick demonstration of breath of joy. So it's going to be 3 quick inhalations and 1 big exhalation. Keep the knees nice and soft, a little bit bent. You can take your feet a little wider than hips distance if that feels more secure. And just move the arms up and out and in and down. Okay, so I'll do a demonstration. Inhale. Okay, if the arms just feel confusing, then you can do whatever you want with your arms. It's just those 3 quick inhales and an exhale. You might want to pause the video. You can blow your nose if you feel like that's going to be a problem. And then just start when you're ready. So nice solid foundation, a little bend to the knees. And here we go. We'll do 5 rounds, and then the last one will just be an inhale and an exhale. All right, here we go. Inhale, exhale, and come back to stand. Draw your chin in towards your chest if you feel at all lightheaded. Arms by your side, Tadasana. Press down into your feet. And just notice what you notice after those breaths, that movement. Maybe your heart rate feels a little elevated. Maybe you feel energetic, dripping off of the fingertips. Or maybe you're more aware of the edges of your body in relationship to the space around you. Maybe nothing. There's no right or wrong. It's just taking a moment after all that balancing to just come back into this space. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands travel through heart center, pressing the palms together. Continuing down, palms facing the floor, out to the sides. Inhale, reach up, palms facing to the sky. Connecting the palms above, drawing the hands down through heart center. And palms facing the floor, pressing out to the side, lifting up. Last one, palms pressing all the way down and out to the side, rotate, lift up. And exhale, just hands resting at heart center. Good. And if you're not there already, let's take a step to the top of the mat. Moving into warrior two legs, let's step the right foot back and wide. I'm going to turn the opposite way, so my right foot is stepping back. And we want our hip bones to face the long edge of the mat. So adjust your feet in a way that this finds ease in the pelvis, whether that's a shorter stance, a wider stance. Usually for this one, your feet might be slightly off of the balance beam, not quite a railroad track, but not quite a balance beam, kind of somewhere in between. Bending into your left knee, stacking over your ankle here. Press down to the outside edge of your back foot and then press down through the big toe. So notice if you're rolling just onto the pinky edge side, press down in the big toe and the pinky toe, spread your toes, and then push through your heel. So really active in this inner thigh. Inhale, your arms parallel, gazing over your left shoulder. Find your warrior two position, belly button drawing in, relax your shoulders. Moving into extended side angle, inhale, reaching over your left thigh, forearm to your thigh, palm up, and swivel your right arm up and over. Press down through the back foot, lift the right hip, draw the left hip back. This will help open that left knee. A lot of times that front knee collapses inward. So those legs are super active here. Inner thighs, as if you were squeezing a ball between your legs, and your feet are foundation, so they're really pressing in. Maybe you're taking a bind or a half, right arm behind your back. Roll the right shoulder open, belly button to spine. Feel the rib cage rolling up. If you're taking a full bind, left arm reaching under your left thigh, reaching back for that right hand, and then lift and pull the shoulders back and open. Still rotating through the torso, but I'm leaning back over my left thigh. I'm not hinging forward. So we're still staying in this nice long line. Whatever bind you might have, release, lifting the right arm back up. And inhale, pressing through the foot, reaching up through the right fingertips, coming back up. Left knee is straight, strong in those feet. Heel toe your right foot in an inch or two. Trikonasana, triangle. Hip bones still pointing long edge of the mat. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, reach your left arm forward. Kick your right hip back. Continue to lengthen. Pulling back and then slide your left hand down. Block is a really nice tool here. Underneath your left arm and then stack your right arm. Now notice where you are in space. Draw the right hip back, lengthening through the rib cage. So notice if you're just collapsing in, you might be going a little too deep. We want to draw the left hip back, right hip open, and lengthen through the rib cage. Inhale, right arm draws you back up, and then pivot your left toes in, right toes to the back of the mat. Widen your stance as we move into our warrior two legs. Once again on this side, bending into the right knee. Stance is long enough so the knees doesn't pass the ankle. Pressing down through the pinky toe, and then press down through the big toe so we're not rolling the ankle on the back. So you're staying strong in that back foot. And opening up, so we're activating the outer right hip, and pulling that knee open. Inhale, arms parallel, gazing over your right fingertips. Relax your shoulders. Inhale, reach your right arm over, forearm to your thigh, palm facing up, swivel your left arm up and over here. Belly button draws up and in. A little rotation in the rib cage here, gazing under your armpit. Again, active in the legs, pressing through that inner left thigh. Maybe your bind here, half or full. Again, if you're taking that full bind, use a strap here, allowing yourself to draw the shoulders back and wide. Press down through both feet, nice and firm. And release your bind. And press through the right foot. Left arm draws you back up. Straighten your right knee. Heel toe your left foot in. Trikonasana. Hip bones still pointing. Long edge of the mat. Inhale, arms parallel. Exhale, reaching, kicking this left hip back. And lower your right hand down. Placing onto a block or your shin. If you're on your shin, press the back of your hand to the inner shin. Rotate the right shoulder back. Lengthen. Again, rotate the left hip back, right hip drawing back, and lengthen through the rib cage. Inhale, left arm draws you back to center. Pivot your right toes parallel to left or pigeon-toed. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, Prasarita, forward fold. And release your hands down. Stay with your breath. Notice the beautiful way we can get an inversion without even going into a headstand. Use forward folds, whether it's a Uttanasana, just a regular forward fold, a child's pose. Anywhere that we bring our body in towards itself is a very calming sensation for the brain, for the body. Place your left hand underneath your shoulders, or underneath your face, I should say. And then inhale, reach your right arm up. Finding a little twist, draw the left hip back. Still pushing down through the feet, spine is long. Exhale, right hand down under your face, left hand reaching up. Draw the right hip back. Exhale, hands back down. One more nice forward fold here. Hands to your hips or out to the side. Inhale, reach up. Pivot to the top of your mat and step your left foot to meet the right. Let's take our pyramid pose. I like to use a block from pyramid. We'll face the front of the mat. Step the right foot back and wide. A little angle on those back toes, hip bones pointing forward. This is definitely where we want to be on railroad tracks as opposed to a balance beam. This is going to create ease in the hips and the pelvis. Press firmly through the back heel so your heel stays grounded. Inhale, hands to heart, look up, lengthen. Exhale and fold. Folding over your left thigh, lengthening crown of your head forward. And release. Notice anywhere you might be gripping with your toes. Drawing the left hip back, right hip forward. I like to activate my quadricep on the left and the right, actually, activating the feet. Revolve triangle. You can use your block. I like to use the tall setting just to create more length in the ribs. Inhale, lengthening. And exhale, rotate your left shoulder and open up through the left arm. Draw the left hip back, hips stay nice and level here. You can always go down a level with the block or place your hand onto the mat. Let's get a nice twist into the torso. Keep drawing those hips back. And exhale, unwind. And your inhale draws you back up. And step your right foot to meet the left. Other side, left foot steps back in wide. Allowing the hip bones to point forward. Lengthening out of the low back. Press through the back heel nice and firm. Inhale, hands to heart. Exhale and fold. Right hip draws back as you hinge. And then release forward. Pressing firmly into both feet. Notice if you're rolling onto the edges of either foot. See if you can bring your weight more central. You can use your block here on the tall or the medium setting. And right hand to your low back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale to twist. Draw your right shoulder back here. Hips are staying nice and level. Maybe you reach your right arm up to the sky. Crown of your head reaching forward. Exhale, release. Hands to heart. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, left foot steps to meet the right. Trikonasana, triangle pose. We already did triangle pose. See? Seeing if you guys were awake. You're still with me. We're going to do tree pose, Vrikshasana. Shifting into your left foot. Right foot can just rest onto your top of your left, maybe up into the inner shin, or lifting all the way and pressing into the inner left thigh. Now we bring this left hip in, get tall, and then open the right knee towards the side. Belly button draws up and in, relax your shoulders. Hands to heart. Find your ground, root through the toes, press through the heel. If you'd like, you can grow your tree, maybe reach your arms up or out. You might gaze up. You can play with closing down your eyes and maybe falling out of the shape. Embracing the joy that comes from faltering and failing, which we need to do when we're working with our self-discipline and our motivation, right? We fail sometimes. We've got to be kind to ourselves and compassionate. Something that can be difficult. And slowly bring your hands back through heart center and release your right foot down. Shake that out. Shifting into the right foot, find your tree on this side. Make sure you always avoid the knee joint. That's too much pressure on that joint. You want to make sure you're above or below the knee. Widen through the inner thigh and draw the right hip back. So the left thigh is pointing out towards the left. Pressing into the right foot nice and strong. Squeezing those hips up and in. Hands to heart. And feeling free to grow your tree however you'd like today. Maybe it's the same as the other side. Maybe it's different. Feeling the, maybe we fall. That's okay, it happens. Coming back into it. Whenever you fall, we just come back to where we started. And let's release fully. Clearly, that side is not as strong as the other. Duly noted. All right, let's come into our little flow here. Starting from the center of the mat, you can have your blocks nearby. Have a blanket if you need one for beneath your shin. We're going to go down onto the ground. But we'll start off standing in the middle of the mat, moving into Tulan Dandasana, balancing stick. Inhaling, hands to heart. And exhale, right foot steps forward and we teeter into that right leg. You can keep your toes low or we begin to teeter higher. Left hip dials down to align with the right. Press either through the ball of your foot or your heel here. Finding what works for you. Maybe your arms are reaching back or maybe you reach forward, finding full warrior three. Bending into the right knee, step your left foot back and wide as we find warrior one. I like to heel toe my right foot towards the right edge of the mat. Drawing the right hip back, left hip forward. If this is too much in your hips or your knees, lift your back heel, a little bend to the knee for crescent lunge. Otherwise, we'll take our warrior one, hip bones forward. I like to take a shorter stance, belly button in and reach up and out of the waistband. Maybe a little hinge forward. Finding space here, pressing through the outside edge of your left foot. Let's take humble warrior this morning. Interlace your hands at your low back. Inhale, collarbones wide and gaze up. Exhale, fold. Humble warrior, right shoulder inside of the right knee. And allow your head to release in reverence for this practice. Bowing to yourself for making it to your mat today. Pressing through the back foot. Draw your right hip back. Maybe reach your arms up a little bit, getting a little shoulder opener. And release, framing your right foot, lower your left knee down. Nuclear pigeon. Nuclear pigeon is a beautiful stretch into the outer right hip, IT band. Really good for sciatica. I'm going to set ourselves up here. I'm going to turn to face the camera a little bit more. Heel toe your right foot towards the center of your mat. Flex your right toes back. Nice bend to the right knee. And just play with opening and closing the right leg. So it moves as one unit from hip to heel. So we just train our body to move as one unit. And then open out, press through the pinky toe, keep that right foot nice and flexed. Hands onto blocks or onto the mat nice and wide. So your hands are usually wider than your mat. Gaze back, your left knee, tuck your left toes, realign your knee underneath your hip. Now I just caught a little bit of a catch in my hip, so just move the right leg around if you're feeling that more in the joint instead of the muscle. And then inhale, nice and long spine. Exhale, bend your elbows and press your hips directly back till you feel that stretch in the outer right thigh and hip. Now what you might notice is you kick your hip out to the left. So bring those hips back so you move directly back. Bend the elbows. Also watch dropping the head. This kind of changes the sensation. You want to keep the back of the neck long here. Focused outer hip stretch. No sensation on this left thigh. It's just there to support us. And then inhale, rise up. Now we'll get into the left quadricep, getting into our low lunge. Heel toe your right foot a little wider. Interlace your hands on top of your thigh. As you exhale, shift your weight forward. You can untuck your back toes. And a little bit more stretch. If you're still not feeling much, squeeze your glute and then shift your weight forward. And then belly button drawing up and in. So we're moving away from this idea that we need to just let everything hang out forward and collapse into the low back. This is not good for the spine. We want to stay tall, keep the belly supporting, and activate your glute. Now if you want a little bit more, you can put your hand onto the mat or onto a block and reach your right hand back for your foot, taking a little twist. Or maybe you just reach your left hand back for your left foot and get a deeper stretch into the quad. And releasing your left foot. Let's shift our weight back, finding half or full splits. So bring that right leg forward. Flex your right toes back, anchor your heel. Draw your right thigh bone back. Belly button drawing up and in. Stretching the hamstring, the calf muscles. This is also a good place for your blocks. You can also place your right foot down, stretching the top of your ankle. Still getting a nice hamstring stretch here. Takes it out of the calf a little bit. You also might find if you shift your hips slightly from one direction to the other, you can direct into one of the 3 hamstrings rather than just the central hamstring. Good. And then step your right foot back to meet your left. Let's take downward facing dog. Pressing through the hip bones. Notice how this one might feel a little different than the first one. You might feel more open. Your right leg might feel a little longer than the left. Take your feet as wide as your mat. Turn your toes out. Bend your knees and begin to walk your hands back. Malasana Yogi Squat. Options here, you can stay up and just release your hips down. Spine is long though, even in this variation. You can begin to swing your hips down, elbows inside of your knees, and make sure those toes are turning out, allowing the heels to rest. Palms pressed together, spine is long, relax your shoulders. You can always sit on a block here. Nice stretch to the inner thighs, outer hips and low back. And then hands to the mat, hips to the sky as we move into Uttanasana, forward fold. Heel toe your feet in. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale and fold. Maybe hold on to your shins or your ankles. You can use a block under your hands. Relax your forehead. Bending your knees. Let's inhale, reach up, rise up. And hands back through heart center. Let's do that sequence on the other side, starting with Tulan Dandasana, balancing sticks. We're moving back to the center of our mats. Inhale, hands to heart. Exhale, left foot steps forward this time, right heel lifts. Pressing down through the left foot, dial the right hip down, lifting through the right leg, pushing through the right heel or the ball of your foot. Both legs are active here. Arms reaching back or forward, finding warrior 3. Bend your left knee and step your right foot back and wide. Warrior 1 or crescent lunge. Again, you can lift your right heel, bend the right knee, finding crescent. Otherwise, right hip comes forward, left hip draws back. Lengthening out of the low back, reaching up. Again, watch that belly. Pull it up and in rather than pooching out. No Buddha bellies in this pose. Pressing through that right heel nice and strong. Taking our humble warrior. Opposite cross, so the awkward thumb is on top, the one you don't usually use. Inhale, collarbones wide and heart lifts. Exhale and fold. Left shoulder inside of your left knee. And release your head down. Press through that right foot. Left hip draws back. Relaxing your hands, releasing, framing your left foot. Right knee down, maybe you have a blanket underneath your shin. I might do that on this side. I've been having a little bit of issue with my right knee, so I'm just going to give myself a little padding today, just to allow myself some grace in this shape. Remember, just place under the shin so the kneecap hangs off of the edge of your blanket. Nuclear pigeon on this side. Sole of your left foot forward. And then flex your left toes back. Moving from the hip joint. Hip, ankle, knee, toes are moving in line with the shin. So we're keeping everything in alignment here. And then reaching out to the left with those toes. Still have a 90-degree angle on my foot, so keeping a nice flex. Gazing back at my right knee. Tuck right toes, lift and shift, so we're aligned under the hip. Make any adjustments to the left leg, so we're feeling that stretch in the muscle and not feeling compression or pain in the joint. I'm going to use my blocks on this side. Of course, you don't have to. Hands could be on the mat nice and wide, right? Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, elbows bend, shoulders relax back. Back of the neck stays long. Now I don't have much weight on my blocks. I can hang out here because I'm balanced in my body. So I just use these blocks for some moral support, so to speak. And make sure those hips are pressing directly back rather than off to the right. Really nice stretch here into that left hip, down, IT band. I actually had a few students tell me that this really helped alleviate some sciatica issues they were having when they did this variation every day. It's not as harsh on the body as our full pigeon is. And release, coming up into our low lunge. Bringing your left foot in, hands on top of your thigh, inhale, and exhale. You might contract that right glute and bring your weight forward, or just squeeze the right glute, staying tall, stretching into that right quadricep. Now we get to the hip flexor, the quad, maybe even get a little psoas action in here. You can place your right hand onto a block or the mat, maybe reach your left hand back if you want to take that variation, or reach your right hand back for your foot, or none at all. This is your practice. Do what feels good. Opening up through the chest, relaxing the left shoulder. Right foot releases. Let's find that half or full splits here. Heel toe your left leg forward and flex your left foot back. You can always keep a little bend to your left knee. And again, you might move the hips around just to get the hamstring of choice. And press the top, or press your sole of your foot down, get a little stretch to the top of the foot. Go ahead and release, step your left foot back. Move into our plank pose. You can take any variation of plank here that you'd like. You can come down onto forearms or knees. Belly button drawing up and in. Be here for 1 minute. Bring your heart forward. Watch those shoulders rather than relaxing into the shoulder joints. We want to keep the joints active. So the rotator cuffs are staying nice and protected. Belly button is drawing in towards the spine. Elbows point forward and heart reaches forward. So this is about lengthening as much as strengthening. So the crown of your head is trying to move as far away from your heels as possible. Stay with your breath here. It's over halfway. Find a little bit of shaking. Always is good. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly release down. Let's find our Sphinx pose. Elbows underneath the shoulders, reaching through the feet, lengthening out of the low back. You might even place a blanket. In fact, I'm going to do that today. Place a blanket underneath the hips. This helps take a little bit of that arc out of the spine. Draw your shoulders back. Press through the forearms. Palms are touching the mat, so kind of gripping with those finger pads. Energetically draw your elbows back. And release it down. Pause here. You might windshield wiper side to side. Baby cobra. Reach your left leg up and reach to the toes, lengthen, and then release. Place the top of your foot down. Do the same thing on the right side, reaching through the toes, lengthen, and press down. So kneecaps are lifting, tops of the feet are grounded, hands underneath your shoulders. Squeeze your elbows in. Exhale, belly in. Inhale, lift chest and shoulders without the aid of your hands. Push through the tops of your feet. Crown of your head reaching forward. I like to lengthen the back of my neck. That compression doesn't feel so good in my neck. So lengthening once again from toes to crown. Using the inhales, lift a little higher. Exhale, release. Turn your head to the opposite side. Hands down by your hips. Shalabhasana, half locust. Interlace your hands at your low back. Maybe stack your palms. Again, tops of the feet are pressing down. Elbows lift. You can also have your hands next to your hips. Exhale, belly in. Inhale, lift your chest and shoulders. Draw the elbows up. Push the tops of your feet. Lengthening from crown to toes. With these last breaths, if your hands are interlaced and you want to go deeper, reach the arms, straightening the elbows, getting a stretch in the shoulders. It's not required, but if you like that sensation, and then release. Arms are out to the side in a T, maybe into cactus. You might have your arms up next to your ears. That's a little too much for me today, so I'm going to have my arms out in cactus. Again, reaching back through the toes. Exhale, belly in. Inhale, lift chest and shoulders, feet and legs. Reaching out, crown of your head away from the toes. And release that down. A windshield wiper from side to side. Go ahead and press back, finding child's pose. Knees are wide, big toes to touch. Reach your hands forward, or maybe you want to reach back for your feet today. Any variation of child's, and relax your head down. And slowly walk yourself up. Let's come onto our seats. Left foot to the inner right thigh. Extend your right leg forward. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold forward. You can grab onto your foot or just frame your leg with your hands and just find the stretch that works for you. See if you can keep your toes pointing to the sky and draw your right thigh bone back towards your hip socket. And then slowly walk up. And switch sides. Extend your left leg out. Right foot to the inner left thigh. I like to lift and shift my hips back a little bit. This helps me get right onto those sits bones. Inhale, reach up. And exhale and fold. Drawing the left thigh bone back. This really helps ground the thigh into the hip socket. And inhale, rise up. And extend both legs out this time. Realign those hips. Sitting back onto the sits bones, maybe moving some flesh away. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale and fold. And inhale, slowly rise up. And make your way onto your backs. So coming down into reclined position. Draw your knees in towards your chest. A little rock from side to side. Maybe circle those knees in and out, holding on with your hands. And switching directions. And coming back to center. Right knee into your chest, left foot onto the mat. You can interlace your hands behind your left thigh. If you have a strap, you can place it around your right heel. Relax your shoulders down. We want to keep the upper body and back as relaxed as possible. So the hands are closer to the hip than the knee. Inhale, knee to chest. Exhale, press your heel to the sky. Draw your thigh bone forward and away from your body. Drop that right thigh towards the floor. Push your right heel. So I'm flexing my right foot here. So my arms are pretty relaxed. I'm pressing my thigh into my hands. My hands are resisting, but my shoulders are not engaging. I'm not rounding or holding with my shoulders. It's just my hands. Now if you want, you can extend your left leg out, flex your left toes. Just feel that right hip, that right sacrum relax towards the floor. So the left feels a little bit higher. And if you want, you can slide your hands up, lifting towards your leg and draw your shin towards you. Getting a nice hamstring stretch again. This is not required. This is just an option if you'd like to take it. And bending the right knee, let's take our twist. You could cross your right leg over the left for a twisted roots, Lift and shift your hips to the right and drop your knees towards the left. Finding your variation here. Arms extending out to the sides. Upper back relaxing down to the mat. Feeling those hips staying as stacked as possible. And maybe you gaze over your right shoulder. Breathing into the right side. As you exhale, press your right hip away from you. Feel the low back lengthening. Inhale, unwind, come back to center, unravel the legs first. Bring your body, realign the spine and the hips. Knees back into the chest. A little rock from side to side again. Knees are out and maybe back in. This time, left knee comes in, right foot to the mat. Interlace your hands, relax your shoulders. Inhale, knee to chest. Exhale, heel to the sky. Pressing your thigh into your hands, relaxing the arm bones. You can extend your right leg out if you'd like. And feel the left thigh bone relax. Left hip relaxing towards the mat. Creating some space in the sacrum. Little hamstring stretch, sliding your hands up. And forehead towards your shin. Draw your leg in. And release. Let's find your twist on this side. You can take twisted roots or any other twist. Just make sure those hips are stacked. We'll allow the knees to drape towards the right. Arms out to the side. Upper back is connecting to the ground. I'm going to use a block here underneath my shin. This is my tight side. So I want to keep my shoulders down. And just relaxing that left shin onto a block. Inhale into the left side. Exhale, press the left hip away, lengthening the low back. And then relax back into it. Twists are a great way to invigorate our tapas, our central furnace, that third chakra right there in the solar plexus. So always doing a twist, keep that in mind. We don't have to do sit-ups, you can just do twists. And slowly unravel, come back to center, realign your spine. Knees drawing into the chest. A little rock from side to side. Taking your knees wide, draw the knees down towards your armpits, press your low back down into the earth. You could reach your forearms behind your knees and hold on to your hands and pull the knees in, press your low back down. This might be enough for you. Or you could do happy baby, arms inside of your knees, hands to the inside or outside of your feet, reaching up, stacking ankles over shins, and press your low back down into the mat. You might rock from side to side. And if you're doing this practice in the morning, you might decide that you want to move into a meditative seat rather than lying in Shavasana. So chin in towards your chest, you'll just do a little rock and roll back up into your seat. If you're taking traditional Shavasana, draw your knees in towards your chest. Inhale, forehead to knees. And exhale, release. Let it go, extending out onto the mat. Relaxing everything out here. Wherever you decide to land after practice, allow yourself a few minutes to simply rest and receive all the benefits. It's in stillness that we actually can reconnect to our breath, and that our body can begin to repair any stressed tissues. Muscles become built. And just begins to bring in this sense of ground and relaxation. So notice where you might feel the need to just stop the video and roll up your mat and get started with your day. I just invite you to settle into this gentle relaxation. Imagine that you're sitting in front of a fireplace or a campfire. You're just watching the fire burn. Maybe it's down to those beautiful red and orange embers just flickering in the dark. Maybe your fire is roaring. Maybe it's just a slow, continual burn. Bring that image into the solar plexus, that space between the belly button and the ribs. Maybe place your hand in that spot. And place your other hand on top. And just feel into your center of willpower and dedication, discipline. Just feel the fire you stoked today. As always, you're invited to stay where you are as long as you'd like. But if you're ready, take a deep breath in. Exhale it out. Inhale, stretching, reaching. Bending your knees, rolling to one side, make your way to your seat. Coming into a comfortable seat and placing hands to your heart. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through this practice on whichever day you've chosen, whatever time. I look forward to seeing you next week as we bow our chins to our chest. Namaste.